Welcome to the Arc Fitness More Than podcast, a space where we explore the challenges and the triumphs of overcoming addiction and thriving in recovery. Arc Fitness is a highly commended and unique recovery organisation that utilises the powerful benefits of physical activity, professional support and community to support people to reclaim their lives after addiction. Each episode features conversations with individuals who have lived experience of addiction, as well as experts in the field. And together we will share stories, insights and tips on what it takes to break the cycle of addiction and to find a path to healing, growth and potential. We believe that everyone deserves a chance at recovery, no matter what their background or their circumstances, and that we are more than the problems that we face. Let's get started. All right, everybody, how are you doing? Welcome to our first episode of 2024. We are back after the new year. We are raring to go. We have more guests. We have more events. And guess what? We have a brand new campaign for 2024, but a little bit more about that in a bit. If you're a first-time listener, welcome to the Arc Fitness More Than a Podcast. My name is Gaz Rutherford, or Gary Rutherford. I'm a registered mental health nurse and I'm the founder of Arc Fitness here. And I'm also an individual in long-term recovery for drug and alcohol dependence. And I will be your host for today's podcast. In 2024, we are going to continue to bring you these monthly episodes of the podcast to act as a source of inspiration and a source of motivation, and hopefully stir up the collective understanding into working towards a more recovery-fluent society. The podcast, if you already know, is hosted by various members of the Arc Fitness team of experts, each one with a wealth of knowledge, meaningful experience and wisdom, all offering practical tips and insights on topics ranging from managing triggers and cravings to building a support network and developing healthy habits. So whether you're on your journey at the start or you've been on this road for quite some time, then the More Than a Podcast is here to help you. Right, back to today. I'm pretty excited about today's episode. So before I introduce the guest, I'm going to tell you why I'm pretty excited about this episode. I'm pretty excited because today on this episode will be the launch of our official new year-long awareness campaign. And for those that have been following our work know that over the last 3 years, outside of the direct support that we provide individuals, we have focused our efforts through public and social media campaigns, large-scale events, each one with a different theme. And the purpose, I suppose, behind the campaigns is to help us try and change the narrative that's out there around addiction and substance use, to help us educate and help us to create a positive social change in the communities that we live in. And look, let's be fair. Nobody chooses the path of recovery or the path of addiction willingly. It's a deeper construct than that. So by bringing addiction, recovery and those involved out of the shadows and into the light, then we begin to treat people differently. And when we treat people differently, we move away from shame and darkness towards support and hope. So before we get into all of this good stuff, I am itching to get chatting to today's guest. It is a pleasure for me to have here on the podcast Sam Barbee. Sam is the Director of Strategic Client Development for Learning Pool, or Director of Awesomeness for Learning Pool, a Derry/London Derry-based e-learning organisation. But outside of that, Sam has been a lifelong friend, a long-term friend and a supporter of Arc Fitness. Now, he might not sound like a Derry man, but he is very much part of the community here. So Sam Barbee, it is a pleasure to have you here with me today. How are you doing?
Doing great, Gaz. Thanks for having me. And thanks for that introduction. A Derry man. Wow, go figure that.
You are.
I know, listen to me. Yeah, been in Derry for 22 odd years now. And funny enough, you mentioned through my line of work, I come in contact and do business quite across the UK and things like that. And I'll be speaking to someone over in England and they'll be like, so what part of Northern Ireland are you from? And I was like, what are you talking about? They're like, your accent. And then I turned to someone who's local and they're like, be quiet. You're a Yank. You're still a Yank. Yeah.
It was inevitable. It was going to happen.
I know. So yeah, originally from Southern California and rolled into this place by accident, really, and came over here doing some youth work, and yeah, just fell in love with the place. Fell in love with the vibe, the people, and a good head nod as you're walking down the street, and I just was like, "There's something here," and then you meet a Derry girl.
That's it.
That's it, and then there was no going back from there. So, yeah, from the beaches, from the sunny beaches in Newport Beach to Derry. Yeah, I've been here for 22 years. Four kids that have grown up here, from 16 all the way to 8. 2 boys, 2 girls, and yeah, life's exciting. Life's busy.
But sounds like it is. And come here, it's funny because we're here recording today and we're looking outside and I'm seeing snow-capped mountains and stuff like that. So for somebody who came from the California sunshine, how do you adapt into that?
Yeah, I mean, it was difficult at first. I remember that first winter, I was looking out the window going, where's the light? The short days is tough, you know? Yeah, so I do miss the sunshine, I do. But I love the variable of the season. I love getting out, love getting in the hills. I was a bit bummed today because I wish I was up Mount Errigal. It would have been someday for it because I do love getting out into the countryside and escaping to Donegal.
Yeah.
And from a boy that used to hate cold water, I love getting in the cold ocean. You know, me and my mad fascination with cold water. About 3 years ago, I fell in love with the big fad now, and but I love my heat too.
Yeah, if anybody doesn't know Sam likes to talk about cold water therapy because he's so passionate about it, and I have yet to engage them in that process. But who knows? Maybe 2024 is the year that I actually do it with you. Who knows? So, look, thanks for coming along today, Sam. I appreciate it. You're a busy man, and I know there's a few reasons why I wanted to have you along today. One, you suppose you've been part of the journey and the process with ARC for quite some time. You've probably been around since the inception of it too. And you're probably one of the few people that knew me before I was even sober, which, you know, at this stage, there's not that many in Derry, which I suppose it's a good thing. So it's been a long time coming, having a conversation around this, and I suppose more and more will come out about your involvement with ARC and the connection and the relationship and stuff like that. But I suppose you have, I suppose, a little bit of experience in this whole kind of field of addiction and recovery and all that sort of stuff yourself, from a personal level. And I suppose I'm opening the floor to maybe what has your experience of this been in your own life? Because we know it impacts so many people, whether it's individual or as a family member or some of those things. So what is your experience of this been?
I think with addiction is something that's so much that we all can learn, and I think, you know, watching a bit of you, Gary, it's the journey, and we'd have to just be present in every step of that journey that goes along the way, and along it there's highs and there's lows. It's an ups and down thing, and you know, and they're all there to be harnessed and learned from. And for me, addiction is something I had experience of from a very early age. My father was an addict. My parents divorced when I was only 2 years old. And then my mom remarried, and my stepfather was an addict. But in both of those lives, I saw two very different journeys. And I can look back and reflect on both of those journeys. My father, unfortunately, lost his life just over 20 years ago to it.
Yeah.
And my stepfather took a very different journey and overcame his addiction. And, you know, for the past 20 years, both of my parents have been actively involved in helping others along their journey in recovery. They're involved with a program called Celebrate Recovery.
Okay.
And where they've come from and what they've been through, and not just with, you know, with substances, alcohol, but with food addictions and things like that, and hurt habits and hang-ups they help people with. And one of the things that I love when I go back to visit them is I make a point of trying to get out there on a Thursday night, because that's when the Celebrate Recovery meeting is. And I just love going there and meeting the people that I meet, the humility that's there, the openness of all the people there is just amazing. And I just love being around them and being and seeing people's experiences and celebrating just the little steps ahead. some great people. So it's been something I've been around and seen, and something I've been passionate about. So I know I can still remember the first time you told me your dream of what you wanted to kind of do
Yeah.
at the time, and it excited me, you know. So yeah, that's my kind of personal story and why I've jumped and tried to get involved with you and not let go.
And I suppose there's something really in your particular story where you've seen there's almost like a fork in the road when it comes to trying to navigate this whole thing. You've experienced loss as a result of it, but you've also seen the potential when people do get the help and the support and things that they need on the recovery side of things. And that's the reality of what we work on. But that's celebrate. I love that idea of celebrate. It's as they call it, celebrate recovery. The fact that we celebrate individuals that are navigating the path through this, because you've experienced it. It's not easy. It's difficult. It's tough. It's lifelong. It's it's not a walk in the park. And to be around that is, I think, it's a real privilege. And you've come to some events, some things that we've done throughout the years within our own community, not necessarily the outreach events, but the ones that we do with the communities of people that we work with. And I suppose it's interesting to get your insight on the feelings and the emotions around those.
Yeah, the family support group piece is one of the real highlights within Arkham, with so many things they do. And that's hearing people's stories from around the edges and how recovery impacts so many people beyond just the person going through it. Was really inspiring to me to hear the stories and hear how other people are supporting each other, and how it's still about the long road and the long win. Yeah. And there's so much more to do, but the hope that the people have by coming together is what you feel and come away with, and it's uplifting to see. And there's not much like that going around anywhere that I know of. So that's something that's really touching to me.
That hope piece has always been important, even from the start. And I think, individuals in recovery are actually that shining light of hope that, what, it's difficult, it's tough, and we're doing it, but we're doing it, and we're getting there. We don't know what the end goal or result is, but, the hope is that someone sees us navigating the path, and that gives us the encouragement to get on the path. So that's always been really important. Tell me, you've been around, so you've an understanding of addiction. You've experienced it through your family. Your parents they work in that field, so you've an understanding of the approaches and stuff. What is it for you? I can tell you what I think, but what is it for you that you think makes ARC that little bit different? What is it's kind of unique about it? What is the thing that makes you more drawn to the stuff that happens here than some of the things you might have already seen?
Yeah, I think nothing against any other types of programs and things like that, but I think ARC it's more than just a meeting.
Yeah.
And the thing that jumps out immediately to me is community. And I know there's lots of different communities, and communities are dysfunctional, but there's a lot of really important things that underpin the community of ARC, and the values that underpin ARC are woven through that. Things around openness and inclusivity are key. The respect that everyone has for each other, the humility, and most importantly, compassion. There's a compassion here that just oozes. And I talk to other people that I know that have come in contact and just go like, what? They can just feel it immediately. That you talked about light shining in darkness. And when people trip and fall down, which is going to happen, it doesn't matter. It's like you come with an open heart, you come open with humility. We're here, we're going to give you a hug, we're going to lift you up, and we're going to learn from this and go forward. And that is just a special, special thing, I think, that doesn't exist anywhere that I've seen before. So that community piece and all those pieces that are woven into it is one key thing. Another one is the team.
Yes, definitely.
The team here is just phenomenal. Not only do they embody all of those values that I talked about, but it's all of the different talents and expertise that are within the team here are unrivaled. I mean, you go across and there's all these different people from different fitness and movement capabilities and around the fitness piece. And then there's the stuff around well-being that they have, and counseling. I mean, big you up, nurse of the year, the backgrounds that you have, it's the expertise is phenomenal. To see the published research that's come out from what's been achieved to validate all of that expertise and all of those things coming together. So the team is unbelievable. And then the third key thing for me is innovation is the word that comes to play. With all that great team, I think there's always a eyes out scanning, seeing what is there, what's needed. And we talked a little about the family support unit. That came out of that. I think always wanting to do something new, do something different, and being open at an innovative spirit about the place is really excites me. It makes me personally want to hang around and hear the ideas that people have and the team. So that's a really those kind of were three things that came out to me when I thought, what makes art different.
And it's really interesting to see that the progression that was there, because at the very beginning that wasn't in place. And I think because you were part of that process from the very beginning, it was really important that we encompassed all of those values, like the safety and the compassion, and all of those things. Like innovation was never something that I thought that I was or ARC was. I just had an idea and ran with it, so like I was learning as I was going. But I think we always try to think, how can we do things a little bit differently, or how can we reach people differently? And I think all of the teams share that, because they've got so many different skill sets and professions and backgrounds that they can see things that aren't even working, which is really good, and we encourage that. They change it and move it forward. So we're lucky. And I think the benefit is what the individuals then get coming in here. How our program looks today is not how our program looked 3 years ago or 2 years ago, because we sit down and we look and we ask them, like, what was working, what could change, what could we do a little bit differently. So that's the team that evolve the organization, and it's the team that allow access to all of these different levels of support. So yeah, no, I agree with that. But you sat in early meetings, you've seen the progression yourself, so you can. So it's come quite some distance. But I'm going to look back before we look forward, because we've got more questions, and we'll look at those too. And I suppose the whole purpose and the topic around today was to look at the campaigns as we launch a new one. So before we go forward, let's go back and do a quick recap. This is a good test of your memory. A quick recap on the campaigns that we have done so far to date. So we started our first ever campaign in 2021. And all of our campaigns, for those that know, come with a hashtag, because that's what all the techie people are using these days. So in 2021, we ran with the hashtag no shame.
Can't forget no shame. That is, yeah.
I can't. I still have lasting physical impacts of the no shame one. Yeah. So the no shame was basically the idea that anybody can fall into a hole. Addiction can impact anybody. It's irrelevant to who you are, where you come from, and that the shame and the stigma was always the barrier that stopped people seeking help. So that was the idea for that. Within that, we developed through Learnable, which was exceptional because they really supported us. We were able to develop CBT videos. So there was a series of 6 animated videos that are available on our YouTube channel that were so well done, if you can remember them. And they were voiced over by Sarah, my wife's therapist. And they were just so short and so impactful. And I think people resonated with them really well.
Our team loved doing those. I think, we work with some big global companies and things like that, building this kind of content. And they said, my goodness, if they were half as good as working with you guys scripted on the dot, got it done so quickly and so professionally, like working with a big global company. And the product was phenomenal, I think, and the message that came across was so clear. And because Sarah's got an amazing voice for that stuff too. They were really good. Definitely take a look at those.
They came across so well. Then the other thing we did was there was the 5 marathons in 5 days wearing the weighted vest that we took part in. And without getting into that in too much detail, so it literally was that it was 5 marathons in 5 days, and I wore a weighted vest. And the purpose of that was the vest represented the shame and the stigma, and the fact that we walk about and we run about and we carry this weight and stigma. and how getting people around you can alleviate the weight of that. Now, I have very different memories of that than maybe some people because, again, I was injured for quite some time.
Running on a broken leg.
But it was really good from a community point of view. I think if you can remember, the community really supported that, and that was really important. So that was 2021. Hashtag no shame. Then that led us into 2022, and we had the Motion Changes Emotion campaign. That was it was more kind of, it was fitness orientated, but it was that principle that, the motion of doing something is better than the emotion of doing nothing. And about if you're stuck, and it was Kieran, one of our running therapists, said that, if you're stuck, you should move. And it was about encouraging people to move, to step forward, to not just sit in their problems.
Yeah, when I think of that, I think of an interview I heard with Jocko Willink, the famous Navy SEAL. And he talked about how coming back from some missions where he had lost some guys that were pretty much brothers to him, and you had to get up and go and do it again. He says you had to pick up yourself and go. He's all, energy creates energy. And that just stuck with me. I couldn't, he talked so passionately, just hit you right in the heart of what state he was in that deep place of losing someone, but he had to get up and go. And I was like, you know what? Even in the small moments, we can think of that we beat ourselves up and sit in a corner for whatever and have a mopey night or whatever, and yeah, we need one of those every once in a while, but you know what? It's about getting up there, and you got to get back in contact with people, and keep moving.
There's something really important in that for people who maybe lapse or relapse in their road to whatever their journey is and are just so terrified or so shameful or so afraid to, take that first step and say, look, this happened, this is happening, I need help. And, sitting in that feeling does nothing but create more shame, more anxiety, more fear, more upset, and you just continue that cycle that you're in. Whereas if you could just make the step, have the conversation, the outlook could be so different. That was the first time we ran at that time it was a 2K. We have to call it a colour dash, because if we call it the other one, then there's financial things involved.
Someone's coming after you.
Yeah, so we did a 2K colour dash, and you were at the first one. Right? They were a good crack.
Yeah, that's good.
It's not very often you get the pelt paint at people when they're running. And it was so family friendly. It was around Father's Day. And that was nice to do like a large scale kind of community fitness event, because obviously our background is rooted in fitness. But it was also the first. It was a year of first, so it was our first kind of fitness event. It was our first conference. It was the first time we had ever attempted to do like a physical in-house conference. We did that in the Millennium Forum, and it was a feat to get there. But it was I have fond memories of doing that. And then we had the recovery walk. So the first ever recovery walk on Northern Ireland was there. I think that first year it was that the first year we had it around here from ARC, and we had one toilet and 2 flasks of tea. And about 250 people landed. So and
that's moved on to this year. We had drummers coming down Shifty Street.
Completely moved, so it did. But we learned a lot of lessons from that. But so we did a lot then, and then 2023. So the one that we've just finished there was the More Than That campaign. And again, hey, it's what it says on the tin, that people who have got struggles and people who deal with this on a daily basis are more than just the problem that they have. That people aren't people who have addiction. They are brothers, sisters, mothers, workers, triathletes, runners. They're all of these other things. And that how it's important how we identify ourselves. Because if you identify yourself as the problem, then you start to feel that you are a problem. So it was a bigger piece of work than that.
I think, that has got a message that goes far and wide, identity. And, there's just so much out there that's trying to steal people's identity. And, I've got a big thing around health and just general well-being, and chronic illness is at a just all-time high and going through, and people's identities. I mean, I am the diabetic. I am no, you're not. You are bigger than that. That is not who you are. That is not what you are. You were made for something more, and I love that.
And I think there's a big resilience piece in there too. I was reading something there I get a wee email subscription from the Happy Place comes through, and it was about 3 things and becoming more resilient. And it's whenever something happens to you, the recognition that the thing that happens is not your identity. It is something that has happened to you. There's other factors and there's other things around you. And I think what happens, and I was very guilty of this in my own experience, it was the poor me. I became the individual with the problem. I even remember early stages of recovery. I used to almost pronounce it in the introduction because I thought I'll get it out there and then, I'm safe because it's out there now. And it became so ingrained in who I was. And then you need to recognize that all of these individuals are so many other things. Out of all of that, and it has been a lot, and there has been a lot of different things, what has been a highlight, or what has been your favorite, or even why are these campaigns so important? Because we don't have to do them, we choose to do them.
Yeah, well, first of all, dear, you and the team are a master at coming up with these. A master at coming up with these. They do. I think it harnessing these messages that we just talked about. More than that, no shame are really important, and it's important about changing the conversation. And that change in the conversation that we have with our friends, with our families, with our colleagues. And these campaigns do that. They make it, and you guys do a great job of getting that out there on a consistent basis throughout the year and explaining what this means. And like you say, a lot of these things, they go further than just addiction, I think, too. And that's what I love about it. And I've had conversations with people that are outside around some of these topics and things like that. And I love all of them, but we chatted about this, and I have one that maybe kind of a little bit off during COVID was the hope is contagious.
That's right.
Was a bit of a line, the hashtag that I just latched onto me, and I just love that hope is contagious because it's shifting that thing of what you said, that identity and the negative of what becoming, actually shifting it over to the hope that you have and what you're going to become and who you really are. And what's ahead of you, and being just that anticipation of good stuff that's going to happen tomorrow because of the small steps I'm making today. And I really believe that. And I think when you're around that, it's contagious.
Definitely.
So it's picking yourself up, getting around another person when you're not feeling well, because guess what? You're going to rub that off. So yeah, it's bringing that hope. And I love it.
That hope is contagious. You've just taken me right back. Do you remember COVID? Do you remember, if anybody doesn't know, we got our first set of keys for our first premises over in the waterside, and life was amazing. And we were like, this is it now, we're set. And not long after, COVID came along and just upended everything. And we were talking about it before we started, and the brief and interesting images that we all have as a result of that. So obviously you mentioned one with you out in your back garden with a broomstick doing burpees and sit-ups and stuff like that. So we had to adapt to that time really well.
But a Zoom workout running around my neighborhood with my neighbors looking at me going, what is this guy doing?
And we were doing Zoom workouts, and there used to be push-ups in the workouts, and I think everybody just wasn't doing them because it was all below camera height there. Everybody was just lying down.
Over in the bushes.
But we really had to adapt to that period of time, so it was really quite tough. But I suppose you mentioned the word innovative. We had to adapt, so we had to take things online. We had to do more things. Learning Pool really stepped in around that time. And for those that don't know, Learning Pool actually provided us with an online education platform that allowed us to, create the ARC Academy, where our 6-week recovery program sits, and as well as some other things. And you were pretty instrumental in moving that along as well.
Yeah, and I think that COVID thing did instigate Learning Pool coming along, and it just made sense because the program was trying to move forward. COVID took it and threw a monkey wrench into it. And then obviously for it to scale and get bigger and offer more accessibility, digital was the way to go. So, it's the thing of, COVID threw a lemon and let's make lemonade out of it. And that started that with, there's something practical here we can help with. But I think more than the practical alignment, I think when I came back into Learning Pool and spoke about it with our senior team and our founder Paul, who you speak with, there was an alignment of values was a real important thing for us, and what you were doing, but more importantly how you were doing it. And it's about all those things I talked about with the values and the compassion and the openness. that was like, we've got to be involved with this. This is something that we have to be involved with because it aligns with how we want to do our business, and then what you were achieving. So, there was a real just instant kind of attraction there for us to get involved in whatever way we could. And it was great that we could offer some of our practical services to you, but there's more than that too. There's, being at the fairs, being at the events, colleagues come in, you've been in and delivered workshops to our team. And, I think your name comes up on a weekly basis around something in our work, whether it's practically related or how you've impacted us. So it's been a really good partnership, and something I think a lot of other businesses could probably avail of. But we feel privileged, really privileged to be able to partner with ARC and what they're doing. And
and that partnership has been amazing. Like, it's allowed us to, through that partnership, we were able to make a jump to a premises that was bigger, that allowed us to do more things. And, but I suppose, that connection that I suppose I had never really seen before with like a corporate or a business or a local organization working quite closely with quite a small community-based organization that I was never used to seeing. And I think we can't underestimate the impact of things like that happening, because if that hadn't happened, I think we could potentially have been in a very different situation than we are today. So we would, so they've been exceptional to us, and we thank you all for the relationship. So, Sam, the next stage in this conversation is for me to officially talk about what we are launching in terms of the campaign for 2024. I have prepared the manifesto. It's the first time in my life I'm preparing manifestos, but there's...
Are you running for office or something?
Hey, who knows? Who knows? So,
Gary for president.
So we're going to launch, guys, if you're listening, so we're going to do this officially. I'm going to read through the manifesto. I'm going to tell you exactly what we're planning to do. We tell you the heart behind why we're going to do it, and then we're going to pick it apart a little bit at the end with Sam with some more questions. So hope you're ready, because I certainly am. Okay. So the hashtag for 2024's campaign is the hashtag Recover Together. Okay. And the reality and the thinking behind this is simple. Because in the heart of Northern Ireland, the grip of substance use tightens with every passing day, and we're seeing lives needlessly slipping away into something that is preventable and that is beatable. And every part of our society gets affected by the negative impact of substance use at some level. And so therefore, every part of society must be part of the response to tackling it. We have to recognise that the concept of recovery isn't just an individual conquest. It's a collective effort and a shared responsibility. Our recovery communities are more than just a collection of people with a shared experience. It extends beyond those people living with addiction and those people in recovery. It includes families, friends, health workers, educators, employers, governmental leaders, and other advocates. And by using the collective and meaningful experiences that we all have, everyone out there, it's time now to do our part until every person has access to the resources needed to start their recovery without shame or without judgment. And that's where the hashtag Recover Together campaign comes in. It's a rallying cry. It's a rallying cry for a fluent society in recovery, propelled by the entire community to instill hope, to drive lasting change, and to save lives. So it's more than a campaign. It's a call to action. And it's a call to celebrate, a call to connect, and a call to create. This campaign isn't just about raising awareness. It's going to be a celebration of the recovery community, the victories, and the strength that's found in community engagement. Because our communities are a tapestry of diverse backgrounds, experiences, and perspectives. And it's time to it's time to revel in the diversity by building this resilient and inclusive recovery-focused society. But it's not just a solitary journey, as I mentioned. Recovery is a collective endeavour. So we advocate for collective resilience, and we urge communities to connect, to support one another. So let's pool our resources, let's share our knowledge, and let's foster a culture of support to forge an unbreakable bond on our journey to tackle addiction. And it's also a call to create safe havens, safe spaces for open discussions about recovery and about substance use. From our workplaces to the social landscapes that we find ourselves in, let's break the barriers of understanding and create environments that support those in need. So, in essence, the hashtag Recover Together is a battle cry, a call to celebrate, connect, and create. So, it's time to stand together, unwavering in our commitment to a society where recovery thrives and lives are reborn. So, are you going to be with us in 2024? Are you going to support us? Are you going to get behind this thing? Are you going to talk about this? Are you going to invite us into your places of work? Are you going to get behind the work that we're going to do? Because this one is big. This is one of the biggest campaigns that we have ran to date. That will see us running a free health fair, which we're now calling the Health Fest Northwest, one of the biggest health events in the northwest of Ireland. We will be having, again, a Recovery in Motion conference. We will be hosting a colour dash. It will happen again. A recovery walk will be bigger again in September. We're also hosting pop-up fitness events. They're going to be called One Big Workout in various places throughout the town. We're going to be having pop-up coffee events in different coffee shops throughout the town. We will also be doing community drop-in sessions through various community networks. And we will be providing addiction and recovery awareness days through local business and local organisations. So this one is bigger, and I'm excited for it.
I'm excited.
Sam, that was a lot to take in there, and I can see Sam's face. He's like, "What?" So, how does that make you feel?
Pop-up workouts and pop-up coffee shops. I'm all there. I can't wait. I think one of the biggest things you could and everyone can do right now is just, if you're not already, get onto Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever, Instagram, and like and follow ARC and get part of the conversation that's already starting, and you can become aware of these things and get involved with them and get out to them and just meet some of the people. Without a doubt, you will come away with a smile on your face.
100%. And we were thinking about, so I think what tends to happen with these things is you do the same thing all the time, and and that gets pretty comfortable. And we've learned anything about, we don't like to be comfortable for too long, which is why we've upped the game. And we thought, what, let's get out there. Let's encourage employers, let's encourage community organisations to create these spaces where people can actually sit down and have a conversation. So talk. What do you mean about addiction? What's this recovery thing that you're talking about? Create a safe environment and kind of promote that. Because we have a duty of care. As a society, I believe, to support people the best way that we possibly can. Now, not just people who are struggling. That's anybody that's impacted by addiction at any level. That we have a responsibility. I think whenever we go out there socially, there's still a lot of challenges out there for people who don't use substances whenever they go out socially. So let's maybe try and create some of these safe spaces, these safe arenas for people that they can come and just be around other people who are like-minded. The walks and the conferences will all be around this thing. How can we recover together? How can we start tackling addiction together? And not just one or two or three or four organisations that are working all of the hours that God sends to try and do something, but how can we pull this and do it differently?
I think it's one of the great things too that you and the team have been good is about forming those relationships and partnerships across with other not-for-profits and enterprises across the town, and then also with businesses and things like that. And that openness from you to want to do that and know that we have to do this together. It's not just it's our thing, it's ARC's thing, and that we have to do this together. So it's a great opportunity because of that for organizations to get involved with ARC, I think. And you might be sitting here thinking, well, I don't have a problem and we don't have a problem in our organization. Well, guess what? Someone in your organization is touched by addiction. They are. There are multiple, probably half the people in your organization are. I know from my experience, I was. And I was always paranoid growing up, actually, because of it. I dabbled around in substances, and I always had a weird paranoia that I was going to become the next addict because I saw my grandmother, my father, and all this happen. And I just look back and said, what if I would have had an ARC there at that time that could have came in and given me the tools, given me the capability to have the awareness to know when and where, when life throws me a curveball, I might be doing some unhealthy behaviors leading me down possibly the wrong way, or maybe I'm okay because I've got people around me and I'm doing the right things and I'm staying the course. And that's what ARC can do. They can come into your organization and they can talk with your people and chat around actually how you deal with curveballs in a positive way, how to identify when you're going down the wrong pathway. And that's a real opportunity for you to support ARC organizations, is reach out to ARC and give a chat to them and have them see what they can do. They have so many different things they can offer, from little workshops to programs to employee assistance programs that they can come in and help organizations, businesses with their team. So I think for me, it's great that ARC is turning lives around. But even more importantly, the unharnessed piece is that art can actually help stop this problem from even happening.
I think that awareness and education stuff is really important now. Learning something and not acting on something, you're not going to solve a problem unless you learn something and then act on it. So I think our ethos and our thinking is, if we can educate and we can, give as much information as possible and then encourage action, then we should hopefully start to see some shift from a cultural perspective, from a societal perspective. And it goes back to that thing that I said. If we start to treat people with addiction and substance use differently, more compassionately, from a more understanding perspective, then I do believe that the treatment methods will be different, that the outcomes will be different, that people will have hope and opportunity. Now, it is going to be difficult. I don't think this is, there's a big piece of work here, but we're not afraid they roll our sleeves up and get stuck in. And collaboration was really important, and you touched on that again, and I'm glad you did. Working alongside other people has always been really important to us. And that's a lesson that came from recovery. That's a lesson, that my ego took, that said, you know what, Gary, you don't have the tools to do this all by yourself. You're going to need other people to do this. And that's why the collaboration piece works. That's why our events are invitational. That's why when we do like the recovery walk, we include organizations that are also working in the addiction field. That we connect with those other organizations, because it was never about competition. It was about, okay, this is what you do, this is what you do, and this is what you do. So how can we do them in a way that everybody complements each other? So that's always been really important. So yeah, I'm really excited. So 2024 is the year where Gary Rutherford gets no sleep because there's a million events, but they're all very, very purposeful, and the team here are exceptional about getting behind it. I'm looking forward to, and I'm going to ask you about your memories, if you can remember, because you're still a young, sprightly man. Do you remember the ARC socials that we used to run?
Yeah, in the evening times, yeah.
So it feels like years ago, we used to run ARC socials, which were cafe-based events where we invited people to a cafe in town. We had somebody share their story of recovery, and then somebody who worked in the addiction field. I'm excited to maybe start doing some of those again, because there was, through busyness of the organization, we didn't really get a chance to do them.
Those are good. Yeah, it was good to see the different people that came in and hear different stories. I met some good people through those. That was, definitely. Let's get those back.
Get the coffee ones back. I'll be seeing you, I hope, at the One Big Workout events. Just agree now, because then you can't come out.
Come on.
We're in the process of working with Foyle Arena and Templemore to be able to run large scale fitness invitational events. So I think they'll be exceptional. They're always good crack. We're not a boot camp. We're here just to allow people to have fun and get fit at the same time.
I do that, and then you come in my cold plunge. There we go. We got a deal. You heard it here. You heard it here first, folks.
It's recorded now, so it's a deal. So it is. So it sounds exciting. There's a lot to it. What advice, I suppose, would you give to people out there to get behind these things? Because sometimes, there's a lot of work goes into the plan, and there's a lot of work goes into the delivery, and sometimes people are like, yeah, it's okay. So what advice would you have to move people to get behind something like this, a specific campaign, for example?
I said already, the first and easiest thing right now is you're listening on your phone, get on the page and like the page and start becoming part of the conversation. Start sharing it. Start talking with people, and that is the easiest thing you can do. Come along to the next event. Just pop along and meet a few people, and I guarantee you'll be hooked in. And then the other thing I would highly recommend is everyone can become a patron. If you've got a $5 or whatever, is whether you're an individual or an organization, you can actually support the work that ARC's doing. I mentioned there's a lot of innovation and a lot of great ideas here. It takes resources to make these things happen. They just don't magic themselves. And what you've achieved on the budgets you achieved is phenomenal. But there's so much more that could be done, and so many more people. There's still waiting lists, and there's still other programs that can be developed. So, yeah, there's lots of different ways to support, but the easiest is just like and start becoming part of the conversation.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. There's loads of different ways that you can support us, guys. So there's actually, before we even look at the support point of view, there's loads of ways that you can connect with us. So obviously, you know that we now have a monthly podcast that has been happening and that will continue to happen for the duration of 2024 that you can connect with. You know, you can check us out on our website, which is www.arcfitness.uk. You can see some of the stuff that we do. You can check out our YouTube channel, which has all of our media, which means we do a lot of work with video with Adam and Riverflow movies to try and capture some of the work that we do. And there's some really exceptional videos of some of the stuff that we've done there. There's some really powerful stories of individuals in there. So you can go on there, all of our social media channels, go on and just see what we do and who we are. Make your own judgments after that. And there will be a dedicated page on the website set up specifically for the campaign moving into 2024 where you can get all that information. But we will be feeding this out. We will be providing all the information for all of the events over the next weeks and months. So there'll be plenty to get your teeth into. And I think what happens is it starts to create people who are not afraid to say, I've struggled with this and now I'm on a path. You know, it makes my heart really warm to see our fitness t-shirts when I'm out and about running the key, because there was a time where people wouldn't have acknowledged or worn things like that. So campaigns are really important because it shows that, you know, there's things that we can do to help this. But the podcast will continue. Sam, is there any highlights, anything in particular from the last, what feels like a lifetime, which is 4.5, it'll be 5 years in March, would you believe it? 5 years. So we're 5 years old in March. So
I want a big birthday. Where's a big birthday cake for Eric?
It's New Year, new me. Unless it's a diet birthday cake. So is there something in particular out of all of this, out of all of your experience, and because you've been through quite some?
It is so hard. I mean, I talked about a few of them already. I mean, the recovery walk's amazing. I mean, this year was phenomenal. I get goosebumps going down my spine, walking down Shipkey Street. It was phenomenal. You know, the family support group piece is just amazing, and there's so much more potential for it.
Yeah,
and that is a highlight for me, but it also excites me. It's a highlight because I see how much more it could do, and the need is massive. So, yeah, and one thing I'm really unhappy about is I've never made it to the conference because I've always been away for work, and I am going to make the conference this year. Make the conference. I watch the videos and I'm just like, oh my goodness.
It's already booked.
I know.
I'm raging. You haven't been there, but hey, we'll let you off the hook because I know you're a busy man.
I've been away.
The conferences are really good, and again, whenever you hear the word conference, you think, oh, conference sounds really kind of long and drawn out. It's a really emotive. It's a really kind of powerful experience to actually be in attendance of, but you would know because you haven't been there. But I can.
I've seen it, and I'm just like, oh.
But so we'll be doing that again, you know. And there we had a really powerful experience this year round, and not to rub your nose in it, but the wonderful Ben DeLisa, who we've known for quite some time.
That's the bit I saw, and I'm so raging it wasn't there.
Yeah, Ben's a wonderful guy. Ben's been working in the field of addiction for quite some time, and he spoke at the event. And at the end of his presentation, he did a presentation of recovery medals into, you know, the Millennium Forum. And it's really funny what happened, because I remember thinking at the time, oh, I wonder, is anybody going to put their hands up? Will people be funny? You know, people be really awkward.
Yeah.
And I was so blown away because so many people came up to receive a recovery medal. And to watch people stand up and applaud them was something so special. And again, tying into this recovery together, like it's everybody. Yes, the person goes through the process, but everybody else is touched by the process as well. That's why it's so important this year that we start looking at how we start to involve everybody, or as many people as possible, in this process as possible, to make Dairy and beyond Dairy Stroke London Dairy a more open, friendly, welcoming, informed, educated space around addiction, because we're needlessly losing people. Okay, we have the highest, alcohol death rate in Northern Ireland in the Derry and Strabane district area. There's work that needs to be done, and we all need to take some of it on because we all have duties of care. We all have families. We all have friends. We all have employees. We all have all these people.
When you say that, I think, whenever the low is that low, I always think the peak's going to be that much higher. It makes so much more opportunity, and the victory is going to be better. And I feel like it's going to happen. It's going to be, and we do it together. We have to do it together. And the whole of our community here in the city will benefit from it when we go through this together.
Definitely. So, no, I'm super excited about it. For those that are listening, we will continue to provide information around the campaign through our social media channels. A manifesto will be available, what we're planning to do, the time frame, the dates, all of those things will be available. My only ask is that you get behind this. You like the stuff, you share the stuff, you come to the events and you really get behind it, because there's no point running these things if people don't engage in it. And it's been a pleasure to have you back, Sam. Because I say back, it's the first time here, actually back in this space. Because it's been a long time since we first met. I think I've known you now 13 plus years. I'm sober 12, and you've been part of that journey along with me. So to share that with you is really nice. To be able to talk to you about the things that we're doing with businesses and organizations is nice. But I think if it wasn't for people like Sam, and it wasn't for people who get it or understand it, then people like myself mightn't have been lifted up as high as they needed to be lifted up. So for that, thank you, Sam.
My pleasure. I am so looking forward to this year.
Me too. Too.
When's the first event? Come on, let's go.
I'm going to get the sleep in now for the next 2 weeks, and then there'll be no sleep then from then on. So we're going to be kicking this off, starting events from February, and there's going to be something every single month, all the way through to October, November. So there'll be no shortage of things to do. So check us out, guys. Don't be afraid. Go on, look at our stuff. If, as Sam mentioned, you really, really get what we do, you love what we do, you get the ethos of what we do, but you also recognize that we work in a really difficult environment within the community voluntary sector where it's really difficult to stay around, you can become a patron of Arc Fitness. You can jump on there and commit to some sort of support to allow us to keep functioning the way we do. All of that information is available on our website. You can go on and take a look and see what you think. And if you can't do that, then that's fine. Support us through sharing our stuff so people can hear about the work that we do. But on that note, hashtag Recover Together 2024 officially kicks off now. Keep your eyes and ears peeled. All will be revealed. Thank you for tuning in. If it's your first time, thank you. If it's not your first time, I definitely thank you for coming back. Share it amongst the people in your world. And look, we will catch up again. Have a great afternoon.